beauty. Nature's beauty reflects my own true nature. You can go ahead. Unity Worldwide says we see a world powerfully transformed through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. And Unity Kitchener opted to take that on as their own vision statement as well. And here at Unity Kitchener, our mission statement is to transform consciousness and empower lives. Let's sing with Trish all the good. You might need to unmute, Cheryl.
The good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do, that I can do, I can do.
And now I invite you to close your eyes and surrender into your chair. Just taking a deep breath, and as you exhale, move your attention into your heart and allow the Christ within to fill you in this moment. We rest in knowing that Spirit is always present in our lives and in the lives of others as well. God is the one presence and power moving through all of existence. It is in everything and everyone. It is in the seeds we sow and the flowers that then bloom. And that power and presence is in the garden of our souls. So as we plant seeds of kindness and compassion in our minds and hearts, it is then love, kindness, and compassion that grows and expresses. Let us then tend our thoughts and weed out whatever is unlike love, and practice releasing any false notions of ourselves so that we awaken to our true identity. Let us notice what we are noticing and feel what we are feeling so that we may alchemize and transform that energy into what is good and true. The truth is, we are just one breath, one choice, and one realization away from remembering who we have come here to be, each a spiritual being expressing God on this earthly planet and co-creating a world that works for all. As we breathe in, let's make the choice to connect with who we have come here to be. And so it is. Amen.
So it is. Thank you, Trish. That was beautiful. I didn't mention my name's Marilyn Smith. It's my pleasure to be here with you this morning. And just to move along to say what our unity stands for, we call it a positive, practical, progressive approach to spirituality. a great place to learn and grow. And of course, we're always co-creating. So we look at all religions, all paths, all areas we are, and honor everybody on the path that they are on, and looking always to create peace on earth. Our teachings, heaven is not a place. It is a state of our own consciousness. We all have the capacity to know God within. There's a spark of divinity in all people. We know at Unity that affirmative prayer works. One of the proofs was Myrtle Fillmore, one of the co-creators of Unity, literally forgiving her body that she was told was always unwell, and living to a very old age because of that. Her body worked well for her with affirmative prayer. And we are here to always make the world a better, kinder, and gentler space. Let's sing Swing Wide the Doors, Daniel Nahmod.
Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for, and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I meant to keep it inside. Well, now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine.
And now for the daily word for Sunday, October 25th. This is it right here. Listen. Please affirm with me. Together, in the quiet of my heart, I listen for the voice of spirit. During the course of a busy day, I may hear all kinds of things: conversations, music, sounds from nature, traffic noise, and even my constant self-talk. Sometimes all that I'm hearing may numb me to the more intentional act of listening. And as I listen, I become aware of the voice of spirit. Its comforting, guiding presence feels like a homecoming. And as I settle into a tranquil environment and begin to relax my body, and my mind, I create a welcoming space for listening to the assuring voice of spirit, discernible as my inner knowing. I breathe deeply and I rest in this space. I go about my day listening attentively for the voice of spirit, expressing through all the people in my life. Please affirm with me together. In the quiet of my heart, I listen for the voice of spirit. And the blessing for Unity Kitchener, please affirm with me together. We affirm, open to a deep spiritual understanding, Unity Kitchener resolves and heals without struggle or strain. We handle our affairs and decisions with good judgment and positive, bold conviction. We affirm we are divinely guided to right action and innovative, sacred solutions in sacred synchronicity. Aligned with spirit, we are prospered and whole as a community and as individuals. With love and gratitude, we say, thank you, thank you, thank you.
There's a new world coming, and it's just around the bend. There's a new world coming, this one's coming to an end. There's a new voice calling, you can hear it if you try, and it's growing stronger with each day that passes by. There's a brand new morning, rising clear and sweet and free. There's a new day dawning that belongs to you and me. Yes, a new world coming, the one we have visions of, coming in peace, coming in joy, coming in love. Yes, a new world's coming, the one we have visions of, coming in peace, coming in joy, coming in love, coming in love, coming in love, coming in love.
Thank you, Trish. What a great song. What a perfect song for today and every day right now. Also, thank you, Cleo. You always read the Daily Word so beautifully, and I know it comes from your heart. What a perfect person to have give us that sense of spirituality and deep connection. So thank you very much. And speaking of thank yous and welcoming, our speaker today is our friend and person that brings so much to the table, Mel Horvath-Lucid. Mel and Rev Greg have gotten together to do a 6-week program for us based on the book called Creating a World That Works for All. We'll be doing some spirit groups for this starting in January as well, and go back through these talks as part of our spirit group discussion and able to go back to the book again. So it's a great lead in to have this wonderful 6 weeks together. So I'm excited to hear this because anything that's called the mess must have a message in it. So I will turn things over to Mel and have her take us through today's service.
Good morning and thank you. I'm hoping to screen share so it'll help if, there we go, perfect. If I can do that. So yes, the mess. And you got to love when it just works out that I get to talk about this one. I would say mess and I have a great and interesting relationship. So last week, Rev Greg spoke, and while I could not be present at the time, I was grateful for the gift to listen to the service after. Really what stood out for me and where I want to start is echoing what he was sharing from the song that he shared, which is, we are being presented with a choice: evolve or die. And so as I started to think about that, I was thinking about systems theory specifically. And in systems theory, the science actually says that it's not change we fear, it's loss. That it's not change we fear, it's loss. And so my invitation to you is to continue to inquire into that breaker side of ourselves. And as Rev Greg explained, hey, look, we are breakers, menders, healers, all, and we flow between those states. So what drives your breaker side? And one of the other things we know is that we tend to favor what's been around longer. There was a test done with two groups. They were shown the same picture, the same piece of artwork. One was told that it was made in 1905, and the other was told that it was made in 2005. The group that was told that it was made in 1905 gave significantly more favorable reviews than the group who thought the picture was made in 2005. And I just invite you to consider that. So as we move forward, if we favor what's been around longer, maybe because we know it a bit better, it seems to, we can trust that a bit more. It's been around a long time, that we may miss those things that are new and emerging. What is our viewpoint then of information? What is yours? The world more than ever before is pushing back against stagnation of comfort. So this for me is an interesting piece within the pandemic, because we are being called out of our comfort. And the more that we seek to stay in that place, the more that place is just removed from us, the illusion of that space. And so we're being called forward. Comforting for me is the last point, which is now, especially as these comforts are removed, there is room for creativity and creator. Calling forth our mender and healing compositions is required. And that more so than ever before, we're being asked to think creatively, out of the box, with new ideas and new ways of being together. So I want to talk about the mess a bit. Sharif Abdullah, details, hey, look, we're struggling with environmental mess, economical mess, spiritual mess, societal and structural mess. We got a lot of mess. What are your beliefs, or what are my beliefs around the mess? Is an invitation to you. And what is my relationship with the mess? And I would suggest that the answer is different depending on who you are. And knowing that about yourself, doing that inner work to identify things about your relationship with mess can help you notice why it is you show up, or why it is you don't show up, depending on the mess. For me, maybe you're similar to myself, which is that I grew up in chaos. I know mess. I'm actually more comfortable in mess than when things look pristine and clean. I'm less comfortable there. So I tend to, if I don't see a mess, I tend to create a mess. I also may choose to create a different mess to not have to deal with the mess that I see. If that one feels too big, then I'll just create a different mess. Though maybe you sit somewhere else on that spectrum, and maybe mess for you is something that you look at and go, oh, cool, I can organize this. I've got this. And it's about putting it back together, but not by looking at it. Simply by putting the stuff back in the space it needs to go, but without evaluation. If it looks clean, it is clean. We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to look at that. Now, I do wonder within that too, the way I've heard it described to me is, you know, Mel, I really just prefer to stick my head in the sand. I don't see the mess, might be another viewpoint. And I hear it more and more. There's a new phrase going around called toxic positivity. And I would wonder if there's a connection between I don't see anything that's happening around me and that viewpoint of that being toxic. And Sharif Abdullah invites us to both see what we are dealing with, the mess, and acknowledge it, but also to see the gems in it. So I wonder then, holding from that place of being able to see both the gems and the mess, if we become more able to respond to it. Similarly, if I'm trying to get from point A to B on a map, but I don't acknowledge point A, how will I ever figure out what is necessary in order to get to part B, or what direction I'm coming from? So I think that ability to see expansively both the mess and also the gems, the gifts, the joys, the divine, the beauty, the power in the mess at the same time, I wonder if that space allows us to be more responsive, more responsible, more empowered to be able to step into what is. This point from Sharif Abdullah, if I took nothing else from his book, which there's far too much to not take more, would have been enough. Inclusivity as a mindset. I think that I've heard inclusivity more spoken as the inclusion of other people. You know, we need to get more people involved, more people involved. We need to make sure people feel that they're a part of something. And it almost becomes more visual in practice. The look of diversity through making sure people are brought in so that we look diverse, we look inclusive. And Sharif Abdullah, to quote Sharif Abdullah, he says this: let's rethink this. Do we really need to do things this way? He asks instead, what are our big values? Where, how, and when do they show up? So instead, he suggests inclusivity is more than just a space for people. It's a mindset. Inclusivity instead says, I am connected to you whether I know you or not, and I'm connected to you whether I like you or not. He then goes on to challenge this. A measure, if we've created a world that works for all, would be to ask, would you trade places? Does the world work for the mother? What about the single mother? Would you trade places with her? Would you be willing to trade places with someone on the other side of town? Does the world work for a teenager who just attempted suicide? Does the world work for a tree in an old growth forest that is about to be cut down? What's the system designed to benefit this tree or any tree, he asks. Does this world work for our children? And I was reminded last week of the song Rev Greg shared, in which the artist was detailing this idea of creating a world for our children, to be able to look and see with our children in mind. And we know in Indigenous beliefs and cultures that they consider 7 generations back and 7 generations forward in their current present planning. This idea of understanding that we are connected, whether I knew you or not, whether I liked you or not, we are connected. And how can we then create and consider our children in decision making? This becomes for me a really rich place of exploration. Really what it is in any situation at any moment, are we able to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes? Or do we stay in the place of wanting to make our point, to say where we're coming from? Because creating a world that works for all, and he talks about this, that there's really no balance between scarcity and luxury. So those in scarcity, of course, are hoping for more, but those with luxury, if we hold that idea that change is loss, then getting the same as everybody else may feel like a loss. Think about that for a moment with privilege. Are we willing to trade places with somebody else? Are we looking to create a world that works for all? And do we think for a moment that we can do that without participation in changing some of those core fundamental places, without releasing some of the excess, right? And Sharif Abdullah says this about that we don't know what enough is anymore. It's never enough. There's always this striving for more and more and more, and it's left this divide between the haves and the have-nots. And I would challenge to my core that we can be in one of those mindsets independent of how much we have or don't have. So not only is that a reality economically, spiritually, emotionally, but it's also a reality mindset wise. So then we come to this place where I know I've felt, which is, but the mess is too big, it's too much. And I've heard that spoken to me before, Mel, you know, honestly, there's just so much going on. And when I think about it, it just sucks the soul out of me. There's just too much and I can't do anything about it. I can't change all of that. It feels too big. And what I draw myself back to is Corinthians 12, and I've pulled actually some of the verses out that I want to read. For as the body is one and hath many members, and all the members of that one body being many are one body, so also is Christ. For the body is not one member, but many. But now are they many members, but yet one body. And the eye cannot say upon the hand, I have no need for thee, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. That there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should be the same, should have the same care for one another, one for another. So I want to, last week, Greg was talking about activism and showing up at marches and being a part of change in our world. And I want to push on that a little bit, because what I've found is that the idea of the evangelical movement has meant that we aim to get people on board with us. The problem is that when we do that, we might end up with a million eyes, but no hands. Or we may end up, as Sharif Abdullah points out, focusing on one piece in absence of the other. When I consider for me a world that works for all, and I say this with a soulful conviction, it's the shift between me saying to you, I see this as important and you need to join me, to me saying you are important and how do you want to show up as the fullest version of yourself. Because if I were to do that instead, maybe we wouldn't be working on the same things, but we are working as the same body in the same world. What if we could look together and see our combined efforts, to look around us and see the many ways for which we are creating change in our world? And I mean this sincerely. In my house, my husband is so very focused on environmental activism, change, conservation, sustainability. And it's not that I'm not. It's that right now my heart burns on fire for issues such as equity, such as LGBTIQ inclusion, such as seeing less of a divide between one person and the other. We are not working on different things. We're working in the same world. And sometimes I hear when we're super passionate about something that we miss that there's a world full of passion. What I'm saying is, are we supporting our friends, family, and community in being the most and full expressions of themselves? Or are we saying how they ought to show up and express themselves? Because there is a very big difference between those two. And ultimately, at the end of the day, the hand doesn't have the same function as the eye, nor the kidney. But if we can see one another and we can understand that we are working together, we would see the connection between those much much more easily. And then it wouldn't become about me thinking I need to do it all. And in response to the feeling I can't do it all, separating myself or distancing myself from whatever it is that feels too much, but instead that I could show up as the full version of myself and lean in and contribute, and that could be seen as valuable as part of the whole. Sharif Abdullah quotes Albert Einstein, "Our problems are a blessing in disguise because they are leading us to solve our problems in very different ways. The complexity of the mess is the impetus to search for more fundamental solutions, as a problem cannot be solved on the same level for which it was created." Sharif Abdullah in chapter 2, The Mess, shares a story and an analogy of a bird being kicked from a nest. And when I saw this picture, it made me laugh because I just thought, yeah, if 2020 was a picture, that's about how it's been feeling for me personally. Not sure about you, maybe you've had a different experience, but I mean, I saw the picture and I thought there's no way I cannot just amplify the 2020 experience depicted in that picture. And so he's talking about birds, and basically he's saying, you know, the mother bird has the wherewithal to know to build her nest actually far from the ground, right? And yet some of us may view that as, you know, scary. What are you doing? You're building it way, way up high. And then at some point, the mother bird knows the baby bird's got to go, right? You got to fly. And basically building the nest that high from the ground gives the bird the opportunity to figure out that it's got to fly, to figure out aerodynamics, and to get the act and the practice of that down before it hits the ground. We could think, wow, that's mean, that's terrible, or it's loving, or it's an act of love, that the bird starts to see what it's capable of. It starts to realize its own wings. It relies less on the mother and starts to become a part of this bigger world. But first, it has to be pushed from the comfort of its nest. And for me, again, 2020, the pandemic, for me, absolutely sucks in a lot of ways. And I've seen the unbelievable gems that have existed and been co-created as a result of it, including our connections with one another and the room that's been created for greater creativity as we move through how we want to be together. And as we ask ourselves, what's important now? Sharif Abdullah talks about spiritual starvation. So when we end up in that place of feeling like the world isn't going the way we wanted, the things aren't happening the way we wanted, we end up moving into behaviors that create separation, but they also create spiritual starvation. And my personal belief is that the world is starving spiritually. That in that the divide between those that have and those that don't have, and the perspective of that missing of our connectedness and how inherent our connectedness is, that we can end up in that space of seeing ourselves as separate, as lacking. And when that happens, we see it manifest itself in anger, violence. And this is true for me. What I've noticed is that there has been an upsurgence of anger or violence. When people are driving, I notice that there's an additional anger. I might get yelled at because I'm walking on a different side of the road, and that wouldn't have happened a year ago. That people can be more on edge. Escapist behavior. Doing things to gain power control over another, even for a short period of time. That desire to at least we know that we control something in our lives as we become more aware of the things we don't control. Denial and numbing. And this may look like the use of drugs, alcohol, food. It may look like checking out or using means to check out, or numb. And control and manipulation. And for me, the threads of control, and again, Rev Greg really touched on this last week with the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the ones I cannot change, to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know it's me. So oftentimes when we don't see what we want in the world, can I make other people do that? Becomes a point of comfort. And how can I make other people do that? Becomes a point of manipulation. And yet ultimately in our lives, it will come down to our relationship with ourselves, our ability to do the inner work, to show up as full versions of ourselves. And then he details the spiritual rehydration package. And what I would say about that, and what makes me smile about it, is that the spiritual hydration package for me sounds like unity. Sounds exactly like unity. It's part of the reason why we join on Sunday. It's part of the reason why we've passionately engaged in a process of reimagining our community, is because of the wealth and the gift and the richness that's held within unity. The spiritual rehydration package reminds us that we are connected. Whether I know you or not, whether I like you or not, we are connected. It says I take time and connect within for the inner work and healing without judgment, right? Looking within and saying, hey, what do you need? Where are you at? What does this mean for you? It's asking those questions. What's my relationship with the mess? How do I want to show up fully? Am I creating space for myself and others to show up as their true, authentic self? Or am I fixated on them showing up in a specific way? My way, maybe. I take time to connect with others without judgment. I take time to connect with the world around me. I take time to connect with spirit. And the cool thing that I've noticed with these is that sometimes we end up doing those things all at the same time. And as simple as it sounds, one act of this in my life is that I've taken up the grand experience of walking and hiking. And I've figured out that doing that with music allows me to connect within. Doing that in nature allows me to connect with the world around me. I feel enlivened with my spirit just absolutely aglow. And many times I'll take another with me in my ear and have a conversation with them as I go. These opportunities to reconnect are there and present all the time. They're there and present all the time. So that's the best news. If we're noticing a sense of starvation, the rehydration package is right there. So I'm going to stop share now and invite us into a time of song with Trish, and then meditation where we will explore further the spiritual care package.
Lead me to the light. Lead me to the light. Help me to make it through. Lead me
Breathing into the moment, grounding into the gift of the present. Maybe finding solid ground beneath your feet, maybe gently closing your eyes. I imagine universe and the divine whispering gently to you, my beautiful child, remember your wings. I am the wind. I am the mother. I am with you always, and I believe in you. Breathing into the following affirmations that are your birthright. I am connected. I honor the space within me and do my inner work. I am connected to you, and you are connected to me. I do not need to know you for this to be true. I am connected to nature and the world around me. I am connected with spirit. I am whole. I am worthy. I am enough. And I am vital to this world. The world is calling me to show up whole, to be who I was meant to be. Breathing into the silence with new awareness, embodying the spiritual rehydration, allowing room for your body, mind, spirit, and emotions to be nourished, to be flooded with love. Breathing back into this space, allowing love to flow freely and anew, cultivating greater capacity for creativity, creator in your life, allowing the call of the divine to ignite and reignite over and over that fire of creativity and creator in you. There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding us. We rest in that love. I will close today with words from the poet John O'Donohue. Beauty isn't about just nice loveliness. Beauty is about more rounded, substantial becoming. So I think beauty, in a sense, is about an emerging fullness, a greater sense of grace and elegance, a deeper sense of depth, and also a kind of homecoming for the enriched memory of your unfolding life. Thank you.
Thank you, Mel. I have 100 things going through my brain right now. But I do want to say, just personally, just how beautifully you bring a message forward and how kind you are to share with us the way you're doing things or the things that you struggle with. And I think that's always brave to bring to a group of people, to know that we all are giving struggles, but you also use those as such great examples of things, and to know that what we reach out to sometimes is our own passion, but it's part of the whole. And that's so important. I watched some goslings come off my roof this spring. And it was literally, as you were saying, Mom said, you got to go. And she just kept on flying up and down. And these 6 little goslings had to find a way from the roof to the ground. And they all made it. And it's all good. But I'm sure it was a struggle for them and a bit of a scary moment. And we all have them. So I just like to say our sincere gratitude. We love having you. You're such a friend to us. And you bring us such a beautiful message. So thank you, thank you, thank you. After service, if you have time to stay around and chat, if anything you'd like to bring up with Mel's talk or any other takeaways or small stories you'd like to share, please feel free and stay with us after service. Next week, we have Reverend Greg Cole coming back, part 3 of the same book, Creating a World That Works for All. Connecting with Others will be Greg's topic for next week. So join us with that. We all know, as I mentioned earlier, that affirmative prayer works. If you're looking to have prayer, Silent Unity is available 24/7. It's available through 1-800-NOW-PRAY. There's also many booklets and publications available online or to order through the mail if you'd like to do that at unity.org, going to publications and booklets. Our affirmative prayer. If you'd like to say this with me. I move easily in the flow of life. I am radiantly and enthusiastically alive. I am free of tension, stress, and strain. I go forward in the flow of life, unhurried and unworried. Namaste. We thank you all, of course, for love offerings and tithes that are coming through to Unity in various different ways now that we're not joining together in a physical space. We so appreciate anyone that is able to e-transfer to unitykitchener@gmail.com. Or if you'd like to go on the website and you can go onto the Tithely button, you're able to set up an ongoing donation if you like, or just do one time. And our website is www.unitykitchener.com. We're still able to take checks. There is a mailbox drop off at the back door of 2631 Kingsway, and we're still able to do that as we continue through this move. Just take a moment, think of all the blessings that we share, the financial, of course, but also the love and the energy and the kind thoughts that come in. So much of what we give is usually about each other. And then financially, we support each other as well. We give gratitude to be able to both give and receive. If you hold together and hold your gratitude in your hand and say with me, divine love, as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I joyously give, and all that I joyously receive. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Amen. We know that water is a big part of our body. It's a big part of our world. With climate change, water is changing. So we want to bless the water that we have both within and without, and sing along with Trish with the water blessing song.
With these hands, with this heart, we bless this water. With the pure intention of God, we bless this water. Removing and transmuting all impurities, ever flowing into light, we bless this water.
Just a note before I move on with some of the announcements. Also with prayer, we have prayer chaplains at Unity Kitchener. They are still very available, even in these times of COVID, through Zoom, if you'd like to set up some kind of one-on-one chatter at all to have some prayer given. Or if you'd like to put anybody's name in the chat area, or send it to unitykitchener@gmail.com. We'll be sure that the prayer chaplains are able to pray with that name. As we always say, Spirit knows the reason and Spirit knows who we're talking about. So feel free to put that into the chat All prayers are affirmed, as Debbie Leland has said in the chat. Thank you very much. Unity Kitchener is alive and well. We've had a few calls saying, oh, I see you sold the building. Are you closing? It's like, nope, not closing, just kind of moving and moving a little bit in cyberspace right now, and then moving on to some new physical location as it turns out. But we are very happy that we have made an agreement with the buyer of our building. Dave Roy is his name, terrifically wonderful guy. He has said that he didn't need the top floor right now. He doesn't have any plans for it. So we're going to be able to house ourselves as Unity Kitchener and having some office space and some working space up there for board meetings and small meetings, etc. Able to keep our computers in place and phone systems and one thing and another. So we are in the same place, although we're not able to gather there as we know. And as we move forward, we'll be in turn being able to find a new physical space where we'll move everything to that at some point in the future. We took our library upstairs, so it is also available if you want to call Cheryl anytime or give her a quick email that you'd like to come in. You can arrange to come and get a book and borrow it as you wish. We also have the bookstore upstairs, so Chapters and Verse has also moved. So if you need to come in and use the space, we do have to have a bit of permission for that. We can't have people just coming in out of the blue because sometimes the place will be locked and there's not going to be a Unity person there every single day. But please make an appointment, and we would love to see anybody who'd like to come in. Mask wearing is imperative, just so you know. Daily Word for November and December is in. It can be mailed to you if you like, or you can ask for it and get it online. Or of course, if you want to come in and, as I said, get a copy in person, we can do that as well. Just email to Cheryl or unitykitchener.com at gmail. Sorry, unitykitchener@gmail.com. We also have the new 2020 Advent calendars. This is what we've often given out at the early Christmas Eve and Christmas Eve services. But as we might have those virtually this year, if you'd like to have a copy, again, if you want to get a hold of us at unitykitchener@gmail.com, it can be either gotten to you through mail, or we can have you come in and pick one up for the 2020 year. It is membership renewal month. We're just a little tad behind. It's usually fully on October, and we have the board out there and we have forms for everybody, but we opted, of course, to go into the website this year because we've been a lot more virtual. And the one issue is that we had a bit of a delay on our new upgrade of the website. Background stuff, nothing to do with actually Unity at all, just the background of the electronics and things that go into that stuff. So the membership renewal now will be through November. We'll revert to October next year. That's what's in our bylaws and stuff. So we'll revert to that next year. So it'll be more like an 11-month membership versus a 12-month membership. But the idea that we'll have it online with a fillable form, you can print it out, you can fill it in online, you can send it in electronically, or you can mail it in, whatever way you'd like to do that. But the instructions will all be there. And our website, the upgrade is set to go live on October 29th. Cheryl will be sure to mention it in MailChimp and emails and one thing or the other to make sure people know to go ahead and do this. Just a reminder that in Unity, we do choose to do a membership every year. Other religious organizations use membership to be a way to gather their budget together as people project what they'd like to give for the year. Unity doesn't do that. We leave it as membership as belonging to the spiritual cooperative that we all support in every way that we can. So just knowing the membership means belonging and wishing to be part of the community, maybe doing some volunteering and helping with all things that are happening. But the idea that we are, as Mel said, we are all connected, and membership makes us connected in just a different way, supporting our spiritual cooperative. So thank you for the time in doing that. The board had a little stress the other day saying, we're not getting this done, but it is getting done. It's just behind the scenes, and it will be out there for all of November. Last song. Enjoy.
As we come around to take our places at the table, a moment to remember and reflect upon our wealth. Here's to loving friends and family, here's to being able to gather here together in good company and health. And may we be released from all those feelings that would harm us. May we have the will to give them up and get them gone. For heavy are the satchels full of anger and false promise. May we have the strength to put them down. May the light of love be shining deep within your spirit. May the torch of mercy clear the path and show the way. May the horn of plenty sound so everyone can hear it. May the light of love be with you every day. And may we wish the best for everyone that we encounter. May we swallow pride and may we do away with fear. For it's only what we do not know that we have grown afraid of, and only what we do not choose to hear. May the light of love be shining deep within your spirit. May the torch of mercy clear the path and show the way. May the horn of plenty sound so everyone can hear it. May the light of love be with you every day. And as we bless our daily bread and drink our day's libation, may we be reminded of the lost and wayward soul, the hungry and the homeless that we have in every nation. May we fill each empty cup and bowl. May nothing ever come between or threaten to divide us. May we never take for granted all the gifts that we receive, being ever mindful of the unseen hands that guide us and the miracles that cause us to believe. May the light of love be shining deep within your spirit. May the torch of mercy clear the path and show the way. May the horn of plenty sound so everyone can hear it. May the light of love be with you every day. May the horn of plenty sound so everyone can hear it. May the light of love be with you. May the light of love be with you. May the light of love be with you every day.
Wow. What a great song. Holy cow. May the light of love be with you every day. So join us afterwards. I have one quick announcement. It isn't on a slide. It's going to come up in the next few weeks and talk about our new year. Cheryl and Marg had a great meeting with Unity Ottawa the other day, and we're going to be sharing some services in the new year. We've got it booked out to they'll come to one of ours and we'll come to one of theirs during the month. But we will have to shift till 10:30. Just to get everybody on board at the same time. So rather than 11 a.m. services, we'll have 10:30 services. This will all be out in MailChimp and on announcements and things like that, but really neat collaboration and really goes towards our statement about shared spiritual awakening. Yes, let's use this time, as Mel mentioned, the COVID year of being kind of like, but sometimes some cool things come out of it. And one of the cool things is we can share our spiritual awakening with others, and that way we can collaborate with other groups from Unity and all get together on Zoom. So that one message I want to mention to you. Please stay with us afterwards if you can, and we'd love to have a chat together.